Boots, and I'm here with my co-host.
Okay.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. How's it going, Tank, in the middle of March Madness?
Perfect backdrop. It is definitely March Madness. So, I can tell you that the meeting yesterday was completely consumed around ushering in martial law. And then, once again, the meeting extended all the way till today. And the meeting started all over again, and they're still talking about martial law. And then they realized they have no money. So they have no money to initiate martial law, and they kept having the same conversation over and over again. So they were like, a bunch of guys playing hangman who keep guessing the same letter, right? They're like, hey, what we could do? Let's do martial law, and then we'll commit genocide, get rid of all the people, and then we'll be rich. Yeah, man. No, we can't. There's no money. All right. Hey, what we could do? Let's initiate martial law. Just over and over. Kim literally said it was the dumbest conversation she's ever heard.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
Meanwhile, you've got here in New York, Long Island, the schools got closed down for 2 weeks today. The city schools are closed down until April 20th. Always good to know that Mayor de Blasio is in control, and he's basically telling everybody that he's going to close restaurants down and every other thing too, so people aren't going to be able to do anything. So basically, they were, they're not. I guess they're going to let people walk on the streets, but they're trying to close down all the businesses. So they're trying to still create and push an agenda to force incredible discomfort and basically cause chaos. All types of issues, unfortunately. Meanwhile, I haven't got. Kim told me that she would keep me updated, and she, she was responding to me very quickly, so I could tell that she was, make sure to stay on topic. Probably sensing that I was, just a little bit concerned about what was going to happen because there's really no place to go. They're doing this all over New York, right? Or not New York, all over the country, and so they're making it seem like this cold virus is the end of the world. And then we got word from the Arkansas Little Rock Air Force Base down there that suddenly all the gas pumps were cut off on the base. We're getting word that they're about to start cutting off power, gas to various other places, trooper activity all around that area. And I was advised to have to check the UN substation there.
So in Little Rock, they're shutting off the gas to the military.
Well, on the base.
On the base.
So basically, So I'm guessing that I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if they have all types of pumps all over or something, but it would seem that either planes can't get out, or maybe people can't get out to get gas. I'm not sure. So it must be they can't fuel up. It would sound like, right?
Right. Well, if you're trying to make precautionary moves, right, because you think that something is going to happen, like say the people the army is going to come off the base, right, and you want to prevent them from chasing you down. That would make sense if that was to occur in March Madness.
Right. Then we got video, and I spoke to one of our associates who is down in the Boca Raton area, and shared with us that one of Oprah's houses there, that's right on the water, has been completely roped off by police state, and that they're excavating the land to dig up the tunnels because the house is one of those shell houses that's there that's basically used to hold kids before you pick them up and take them out to some other place. Right?
Well, this seems like there's some things happening, right? These are the Hollywood crowd, right? It's Tom Hanks is now turned up with coronavirus. Oprah is having her house excavated. There's pictures of them together, right? So
there's more. There's more though. I have more. I have more
go
stuff.
for it.
And by the way, this is all just the first-hand things of like first-hand direct accounts, right? So if you remember the organization in South Dakota that I talked about, trucking company was there, and that they were a while back. We talked about how they were smuggling in weapons from Mexico, and they were sneaking them into Minnesota to Ilhan Omar. That group, the jihadist group, right?
Okay.
And that group is actually owned by Blackwater. So today I got word, and I'm not sure if it happened today or if it was just the past couple days here, but today I got word that that the feds are there, the FBI was there, and they actually brought indictments against, the organization and I guess the executives there, and that the U.S. Marshals were there, trying to be undercover, but everybody knew they were marshals, and they were there just sitting down and breakfast with the other employees. And I got that directly from inside, so they've actually brought indictments against that same group that we outed.
That's excellent.
So that's great news.
Yeah.
Now, and so I'm watching all these things go down, all these different pieces, and this is just, and then there's, and by the way, college loan forgiveness. There's all these people that are reporting that their college loans were being forgiven, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden they go to check the balance on their college loans, and they were forgiven, right? And I was like, wow, that's pretty great. So, actually Lisa had $97,000, which is gone, balanced out. So I decided when I was live earlier, I would check mine. And there it is. $0 balance loans. Here's my college loans.
Now, I didn't hear that they were zeroing out the balance. I thought that they were zeroing out the interest.
Well, I agree. I understand what you're saying. That's what I thought too, but I think Trump just used that as an excuse. And I think Kim just wiped it clean.
Hallelujah.
Well, I will tell you that you just saw my zero balance. That was $103,000 before that.
Do you feel lighter?
Kinda. Yeah. Yes.
A little less weight on you.
I'd feel better if we just had money flowing. Huge, but I'm thrilled not to have that. Yes. So, but that's pretty fascinating, right? Like I logged in literally when I was live on air, just to check it. I haven't even checked it.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Totally amazing.
So there's great things going on, coupled with kind of crazy.
A little side note for this. I mean, I was actually lucky in regards to my cost of my school. I never had to get a loan. It was gifted to me, by my father-in-law. That's the only thing that I ever, accepted from him was education. He said he had to pay for my education, but that meant, I was able to start business without this weight on me.
Oh yeah, huge,
right?
huge advantage.
Yeah, I went right into business pretty much. My first business, where incorporated entity and everything was in. I was like 21, maybe something like that. Yeah, 2021, right in the middle of that. Yeah, but if I had that other debt to pay, how would I have been able to do that? Right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
But
sure.
So that I can see that this will help a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are telling me like, they're putting out the word of it. Go check your credit score, check your something. Like, wow, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, I guess I haven't really paid much attention to those things in a while, but.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, what about the credit? What about credit cards? What about all the rest of that? Is that all also forgiven? Mortgages?
That I don't know. I did hear that there's a HUD housing programs that are being that they're also being restored. So I thought, wow, you're really talking about some serious stuff, right? Like there's a lot of pieces there.
Well,
that are changing.
if this, I mean, wiping out all that. I mean, after all, 1.5 trillion, went to the repo to bail out banks overnight. You know, it would make sense. Why not give 1.5 trillion to the people? That would be something like $5,000 per person. Okay. If everyone just had $5,000 just all of a sudden, that would be a big boost to the economy. That people would be able to go and buy lots of toilet paper.
Yeah, because that's one business that is kicking ass. So, yeah.
Well, here, actually, I'll share something with the audience, and we brought it up. It's in the Telegram group, WWG1 WGA Telegram group. There's this photo here, right? You say, to all you numbnuts that are hoarding all the toilet paper, I'm buying up all the plungers. Checkmate, bitches.
Speaking of checkmate bitches, here I'll share this too while we're on that. On a little different note. No. Let's see here. No. So here is the adrenochrome produced in the Wuhan facility was infected with a special variant of the mass-release coronavirus variant. Those who took the tainted adrenochrome will be blood tested and proven in court of law that they were taking adrenochrome from the Wuhan lab. So that's prima facie evidence. So actually,
busted.
The adrenochrome produced. So basically, they infected the adrenochrome with the coronavirus, right?
Yep.
So I would imagine, now if that's true, probably the coronavirus being, mutated already would adapt to the adrenochrome and be accelerated, which is potentially why you would have more severe cases of the coronavirus that you would see with those who were using that adrenochrome. Right?
Yeah,
so then what they would have had to do to avoid that, right, once they found that out, to avoid being pinpointed, is they would have had to release the coronavirus. Right? So the other people were getting it. So you couldn't track down who had it. Because if not, it would have been like whoever has the coronavirus is them. But think about it. You have cases where up in New Rochelle, there is a very affluent community who's coming down with it. Could that be from the adrenochrome? You have these stars. You have Oprah, we've heard go down. The Tom Hanks, right? Yeah, we know they've been part of trafficking or
Nancy Pelosi.
And it could be, right? Then
so,
you had wasn't it like Madonna and Oprah? They just saw like they were on stage and they just suddenly lost their balance.
Oprah did. Oprah did. I don't know about. I didn't know about Madonna, but Oprah did. Yeah, she definitely stumbled, fell down.
Yeah. But Madonna was on a list of stars who was going down that I got, right? But definitely Oprah, and I mean we, obviously we had people there today that filmed it for us. They actually showed us the house, how it was all roped off and everything.
So they roped off Oprah's house. So, it's that's why I think this is really cover, for this all this is happening right now. This March Madness is really, the month that everyone that was said was crazy, like me, is true.
Yeah.
Now proven that we were not crazy. That this stuff was actually going on, right? So this is a matter of now. The people that were out there claiming, all this was conspiracy theory and everything else. These are the people that are going to be picked up. Right? They're going to be shown to have adrenochrome. Well, for the people who are taking that adrenochrome, and now they're infected with that special variant of the Wuhan virus. Checkmate, bitches.
Checkmate, bitches. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be plunged.
So, yeah, but you see, the other side is scrambling, and there's, they're trying to put out announcements before they lose power, right? So they're trying to create fear everywhere. So, I just got a report here a minute ago that, they were getting ready to put the whole country in quarantine, and that to me is a concern.
Right.
Like when I hear things like that, because wait a minute, like we don't get, this report I got was please be advised within 48 to 72 hours, the president will invoke what is called the Stafford Act. And this person said they just got off the phone with some of their military friends up in D.C. who just got out of a 2-hour briefing. The president will order a 2-week mandatory quarantine for the nation. Now, that to me, now I know, I said to Kim, I said, you're just going to create a mass panic. I mean, if that happens, it'll just get mass panic.
Right.
Because you can't do that in New York City, right? People can't stock up for 2 weeks who live in a 500-foot apartment.
Right.
Like, how much can you stock up? You can't, right? So that to me is a very real concern. And then you have, I mean, a terrifying, like this creepy aristocracy here in New York of somehow like De Blasio is like, they try to, like all these, not just De Blasio, all this Cuomo is like there's just a really heavy presence of mobster aristocracy here, and they will do anything, like they don't care. So here he is putting out his latest, he put out an announcement as the mayor of New York, right? Please don't, we're going to shut down restaurants and stores and stuff. It's like, come on. Like, what are you going to have people do? In New York City, where probably 80% of the population in Manhattan don't even own cars.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't even get out to see if they wanted to.
Well,
so they're limiting the size of gatherings, right? It's the same thing they did in communist China, right? You can't have gatherings of over 6 people.
Yeah.
It's a crime.
Yeah. Actually, interesting thing is in China, you can't gather together at all anywhere in public, right? You can't. So what they do is except for restaurants, right? So everyone meets at restaurants, and so then they'll have like these private rooms, and you get in there, and then you talk about everything. Just interesting how people work their way around it, right? There's a certain point, other than putting people in cubicles to eat, which is the next step, right?
Well, it's funny. I thought about this right today because got a little discussion with somebody about this. But we were talking about churches, right? Now, the idea of people coming together to celebrate their spiritual connection to God, the universe, or whatever it is they value, right? Themselves, and come together collectively to kind of gather that energy together is a beautiful idea, right? It's a beautiful principle, Going to a baseball game, these are like where their energies are around the same thing, in a kind and loving, for a kind and loving purpose, right? But it's been perverted, right? Because they took all these rituals and they brought them into the church and they made it mandatory. They made it about us versus them. They used it to divide us. So the things that were here to connect us, bring us together, ended up being the source of our being divided. And it's like, in some places, the government has such control, they could just say, you can't even gather at all. It's like, you just can't do it.
Right. So they're so frightened of what you'll discuss. How do we get rid of the government?
Right. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
They don't want us to come to this story of this CIA prodigy, CIA agent, like lifetime agent since he was 9 years old, who designed the global financial system that we currently use, the mirror system, right? Whose name is on every single treasury. The Rothschilds set him up to show him how evil money was. They took a village in Africa of 1,000 people, gave every single person $500,000. And in a year's time, and now these are people that never had money, right? And they were trying to proof point. He was a young guy at that point, like 21 years old. And when a proof point, after 1 year, the chief of the village killed every single person. When asked why did he do it? Because and this agent described this to me as I sat there in his car, in my car with him. And he goes, I was freaking out. He said, I was waving my gun. I had him on his knees, his hand behind his back. And he said, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Right? And the guy said, because I didn't want them to get ideas and leave me. So, it's amazing that people are trained and programmed to think that if someone becomes empowered or exceptional, right, or realizes their own gifts, that the one who's had control of them, their concerns, they just want to keep them close, right? They just want them to stay. They just want to keep control of them. But probably, somewhere in them, they just want them to be there. But they're so afraid of them being powerful that they're willing to kill them. And I'm certain he had to kill many people he loved to do that. Well, I mean, obviously a perverted, jacked up version of love, but
sure.
But that's the idea of us that's why even with our numbers, right? They suppress our numbers. They keep our message from going out. They don't recommend us. They don't let that get beyond a certain point because they know if we get to a certain number of people, a certain number of people who realize, oh my God, somebody else thinks this way too, right? Because it's not even a lot of times that we're going to be telling people so many new things, so much as they're going to hear it from someone else who knows the same things that they know or confirm the things that they thought were true too.
Yep.
And when that happens, then you have this incredible liberation and empowerment that flows out over everyone. And then you realize the people that, live 3 houses away that you never talk to because they're always in their house, you're in your house, and you don't let your kids play together because, they're Islamic, and you're Christian, right? So your kids don't play together. But then you find out, oh my gosh, because we connected, we think the same way, right? We're not so different.
All right, but that brings power, right? So when you gather together and you all have the same vibration, that carries and creates a new reality, and that's what they're trying to stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really unfortunate. I was making a point about things, and 90% of the time, things that I'm saying are things I've experienced firsthand. I've seen the documentation on. I'm giving firsthand accounts of people I'm talking to as it's happening. They're sending me video. I mean, people know not to even bring stuff to me unless they have proof. So, 90% of the time, that's the case, right? And so I was talking about how this concept or the version of the rapture that is introduced through the Christian churches was introduced in the 70s, right? As the order was implementing their plan to transition the power from the dragon families in the east or the west over to the east, right? So they created this whole plan because they have to tell us what they're doing. So they put the whole rapture, model in place to, that they played out in movies and they warned in all these different ways, right? So I just say this passing, but my point was they created enemies of us, right? To go to a peaceful system, they created an enemy of, they said the environment's an enemy, right? The people are an enemy to the environment, to the planet. So they put us at odds with the planet. They put us at odds with, politics, right? So you divide the politicians against us, right? Like that's what it seems like, right? There's a division between us. You divide us by religion, right? Race, all these different ways. You create enemies, right? You create disease and pestilence as an enemy that we have to fight. So here we are fighting coronavirus. We're fighting it. We have to get out there. Right? So look what they did. They drove, you would think all the consumerism that just took place, right? All the products being bought. Shouldn't the economy have gone up? Right? I mean, if that's how it worked. It would make sense, right? The economy should have been driven up.
Yeah.
But instead, the market's dropped. Doesn't really make sense.
Right.
I mean, if nothing else, I mean,
Well,
the
well, we do see that now the markets are controlled by Trump. Right? He's got the magic wand. He has the ability to drive the market down or up. It's all a fiction. So he has he wanted it to drop. Why? Because he was also setting up the Fed to have them drop the rate, the interest rate, and they did. They dropped it to a quarter percent.
To zero.
Well, no, a quarter percent. It's down to a quarter.
No. The rate's there, zero.
No, it's at a quarter. It's not at zero. It's at a quarter. It's zero to a quarter. 0.25%.
Oh, okay.
Close to. It's close. It's close. There's like this. A quarter point left. But that's that was one and a quarter point drop, right? And they just had a half point drop. So, yeah, and here's the secret, of this money, right? Where is the value in the money?
The people?
Interest. It's in the interest.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right?
Sure.
It's kind of a trick question, but not. If the interest rate is zero, what is the value of the money?
To them, nothing.
Right? It's
they're
exactly,
just
exactly, right? So if it's at a negative interest rate, what is the value of the money?
Yeah. Now they're paying us.
Yeah, now they're paying us, right? But it also means you can't save anything. Because if you put money in the bank, they charge you.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
It's reversed, right? Right. I'm all into the reversed flow. So, but in this case, when you bring it down to actually zero, which is not there yet, but I know that it's going to go there and go into negative, right? And we're going to see all of this money flooding into the hands of the people, right? To restart a new system. Right, that's what he's doing. Then when we have a zero, the money is at zero. So why are we borrowing from them again? Why don't we just print our own? We don't need them.
Well, I think it cancels out
right
the need for the Fed, right?
Right. There's no need for it. So you could say they're the ones that print the money and bring it into the Treasury, right? This is the Federal Reserve. Well, we might want to use them for reserves.
Maybe.
Restructure it. Hey, why don't we use you for reserves, for Federal Reserves? And you're our piggy bank. You sit over there while we print money.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would mean. it's like just enough. Like, I feel like even the zero seemed right to me. So the 0.25 or
yeah.
To me, it's like, I feel like that was like they were like, well, just give us this, and I want to be just like, no. I had this vision, like a flash of vision, and it was so real, just for a second, right? And it was like an execution of like the cabal, right? And like they were bringing these people up, I don't know who they were. They're bringing them up like on stage, just like the movie, doing to them what they were going to do to us, right? They were laying them face up on a guillotine, right? But in my vision that I saw, in the background, right, was a massive screen, and on this screen, they were showing the horrible crimes they committed against, like a child or something, right? Something awful that you didn't want to see, right? So it wasn't like entertainment. Right. The screen was in the background, so the executioner realized that could see, wouldn't lose their nerve as the person was crying for their life, right? Wouldn't lose their nerve, just realize like this person earned their place to be killed right now. It was mercy, right? I saw it. It was so real. I'm still, as I'm saying it now, I see it. And now that I don't think anything like that dramatic will happen, right? But I really have to wonder because it seems because the advantage the other side has, right, is that they don't seem to have a real emotional connection to anything, really a care or concern, right? As they're, you hear like Tony Podesta as he's, brutally, it sounds like beating, probably sodomizing a child, saying horrible things as the child is crying out pain. He just, it's very clear. It's there. There's no way to fake it, right? They show all types of things like, look, here's his voiceover, here's him. He's saying this over and over again, right? He's torturing them. Now, that's common practice. They do this all the time. Now, imagine what human being could possibly hear those cries and continue. What human being could hear the cries of a child like that in pain, knowing it was coming at their hand? And it's just a child. I don't care if it's, doesn't matter if it's a child of your worst enemy or, the child did something horrible. Like, it would be almost impossible for a human connected to the part of them that's real, the soul, to continue doing that.
Listen, I want them, to them to get all that they deserve, the karma of it, everything all the pain they inflicted, they should have back on them. I don't know how to do that, to put it all together in one swoop and put it down upon them, on their head, but I'm just thinking, when you say, what kind of human, right? And so, of course, we're looking at them as not being human, that they've been bred into this whole other, whether it's, actually alien DNA mixed in or not, but they've literally spun off in a new direction. And I think, and I think back to, what happened in, like, say, World War II or any time where they have mass genocide going on of anyone, like, let's say, the people the Jewish people that were put into ovens and the rest, whether, whatever you think about that or not, but they dehumanize them. They're not human. You go back to, slavery, they would say, oh, they're not people. Those are blank. Whatever name you want to, stick on them to say that they are not human.
Yep.
And I know that, so that's part of the division, right? Divide and conquer. So, but we're not doing that. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's just because it seems like it's the same thing, but literally they are not human in regards to what the path that they've taken. Now, I think justice is for this harm that they've caused. They need to be punished. And that's why they're segregated, right? Because we're all one, and these people within this group have done such horrible things to other, we'll just say, children, as well as, whoever knows how much other harm that they've caused, right? But just for what harm that they've done to children, they should no longer be on the planet.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to that letter that was written from, I think it was actually I'm not sure if it was the Universal Council or who it was, but it felt to me like it was from source, is what the letters that from the Kim shared with us, right? Where at one point in the letter it says, those of you who bow out will be shown mercy through death, right? And for the rest of you, you will live in the hell that you created, right?
Well, and one of the cute things is, like when they talk about Soros, is that we have a special place picked out for Soros. I don't know what that is. I'd like to know, and I hope it's appropriate.
Well, I'm not look. I was kind of trying to make the point that, there's something very, very gentle, and kind about humanity in reality, right?
Right.
That even when someone is horrible and awful, and they've done terrible things, humans are just, to be honest, they are kind. They are loving, and they'll still have mercy on someone who's crying out in pain because they don't want to be the one to inflict that pain on them.
Right. Right.
And I just, it's tough sometimes because, anybody who's aggravated, just constantly, if you ever had like a wound, you ever had like a tack in your shoe and you're walking and you're just miserable, you can't wait to get your shoes off, right? Change, fix your shoes, right? It's like it's a miserable state just when you're uncomfortable, right? Yeah. And they're always doing things to try to make everyone uncomfortable so that we do things that are so out of character.
Right.
They're so uncomfortable, they're so out, just not who we are. And I just, it's tough because there's a lot of things that are just these just perpetual lies that they've sold to us as absolute truths, right? Like, that was the thing that happened to me today. I'm talking about, like, some of these religious things. Like, look, I know, I've seen this where there's families in the order whose sole job was to create religions. And they created religions with some element of truth in them. And enough truth that it was so profound that they could see witnesses to it.
Right.
Right? But it was still a perversion, and it was still designed to make you different, special, selected, chosen. Right? If you're the chosen people, that means everyone else isn't, right? That's what it means. So it's like, why does it have to be that kind of choice? What kind of God would create all these people and then torture some and not, and then choose the other ones? It doesn't sound like God.
Right.
Not a God you want to know more about, really. Sounds more like not God.
Right. Well, yeah. There's obviously someone with a power trip. So they're trying to control things and manipulate. Maybe the appropriate karma and prison is a prison of their own mind. Put them in a perpetual 3D simulation in their mind. Put them in a coma and let their mind be in the hell that they created. I would think, and then it's their own punishment is themselves. They're doing it to themselves.
Well, I remember this. I remember this gentleman I speak to time to time, and I think he's in Denmark, and he was telling me about this. What I think is like the Saturn Matrix, right? And he had this incredible experience, like speaking to this AI in it. You could speak to him and all this stuff, right? And it was really intense, the stuff he was saying. And I could tell it was based in, real experiences, right? He wasn't making it up. And but he was talking about how like the souls of the chosen, the cabal, right, who were really supposed to be guardians, how they would be taken out of their bodies and they would be put in this box, right, which kind of like this state of heaven where they could have whatever they wanted, right? But you got to think it was all based on what they wanted, based on their experiences. So think about if all that you could know is what you already know. So you get an unlimited, supply of whatever it is to try and satiate an insatiable appetite for the same thing, right? And yeah, you get it all you want, however good or bad it is, right? You get whatever you want. But then, after a while, you take something you love and it turns into something you hate, right? And then all you do is you want out of that box. And it's like that is really, it becomes the hell that they created because they're limited to that. So I'm looking forward to having our limits removed, right?
Yeah. Well, it's this is kind of like a downer note, we're on right now when there's so much positive that's actually happening. You know, we have to deal with this negative stuff, right? And it's really part of this battle. You know, we're going to have to wrestle with these demons, so to speak. You know, how to deal with them. Right? And hopefully they already have their plans laid out. But I think Trump is laying out a path. We only have a couple of weeks to go through this, right? In which what when is the heat going to be turned up? What's the weather like in New York?
It's been beautiful. I mean, it's like 55 degrees and sunny. Not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah.
So it's been very nice.
Yeah. So the virus can't exist over 24 degrees centigrade. So I don't know what that translates into, but yeah. I'll try to look it up.
Centigrade? Is it Celsius or centigrade?
Celsius. Whatever you want.
No, I actually really don't know. I won't be funny.
Oh, yeah, I think it's the same thing. Centigrade. I think it's the same thing.
Is it yeah.
I think it's the same thing. Yeah. But let me just see. So was it convert? Just Googling it. So was it 24? It's 75 degrees. So when it gets 75 degrees, I think it was 72 was the other number that I knew, that the virus can't exist. Right, it's dead. Right, so whatever.
Well,
it would be destroyed, in other words, at that temperature. So when will it get 75 degrees? You just have to hold that temperature, and then it's gone.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a way to turn the temperature up and just get rid of it, right? I mean, look, I'll tell you right now, I got one of our project inventors, right, owners. They sent me a cure, a device to oxygenate the water, drink the water, kill it in no time. He explained to me how we can produce it this way and cure everybody, right? Had it all mapped out. It was amazing. And I'm like, it's so simple, right? If you just let people, actually have the power to create. A lot of these major world problems, it seems like governments cannot possibly, they can't seem to figure them out. You realize what a sham it is because the people can, right? But you got to empower the people to do it, right? The people have to have the means, the ability, the voice, right? You got to be able to let the guy in the mailroom, tell the CEO, listen, I work in the mailroom. It's all the way in the basement. I'm telling you, the cracks in the foundation. You don't know because you don't go there, but I'm there every day. So I'm telling you, here we got to fix it. Here's how you do it, right? You got to make that pathway so that we can. That's how you change the world, right? Kim always said we got to come up from the bottom while she's coming down from the top. Now we just got to get all the middlemen out of the way. We're fine. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. Actually, I don't appreciate the the threats of martial law or the threats of quarantine per se. But at the same time, I'm very, very confident that that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that would be. I think you're right. I'm confident it's not going to happen.
So,
we're. I'm just kind of thinking about we have. If you have these debts canceled, right? We have payroll taxes eliminated. We've got the Fed rate coming down on the financial side. Look at how much is flipping now, right? And we have the potential now for this money flow to come in, the real money. It seems like it's the time for that to happen when you start wiping all the debt. The jubilee. Oh, by the way, here's our excuse. Thank you, Cabal, for the Corvex 19 whole infection pandemic. We wipe out the world debt, right? Oh, we got to get a new restart here, because we had the flu.
right.
So it's a good time then for the money to flow. It makes sense to me, so the project money can flow through.
Yeah.
Get started.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable at this point. Now, we're always waiting on time, but I will say this, Kim often she'll often tell me to pray. Right? She often says this, tells me to pray. And anybody, in my previous religion, we would often reference the scripture where it says, you don't know how to pray as you ought, right? So I haven't really spent much time praying the way that most people think about prayer, right? And I think about meditation. But Kim always talks about. She told me one time about this actually. She said, but how could you say it's a negative thing when you have a group of any people come together in the same place to demonstrate their appreciation and their love for God, or for Source. And there's a mistransliteration in the Bible, and it says the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. But that's not true. It's the opposite. It's the love of God is the beginning of knowledge. That's what it's supposed to say. So if you just consider the way that you love your parents naturally, right? The way your parents love you naturally, right? They gave you life. No matter what else happened, you got here. That means at some point in your life you were completely helpless and somebody kept you alive, right? So you have a natural, love and appreciation because you have life. Everything you have is because somebody took care of you and you couldn't take care of yourself. So it should generate just a natural affinity and love and appreciation and respect for the life that we have, right? So, I just think it's important in this time that today, tonight, where we are out in the world, that we take the time to really appreciate that your heart is beating and your lungs are breathing and your eyes just see and your body's moving. You're still able to think. And most of the things that you count on and you trust in your life are things you have absolutely no control over. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. And I think we can just take the time to be prayerful, to be mindful, to be present in the moment, and just appreciate where we're at. It's not many generations to get a chance to watch a new world literally be birthed,
Yep.
While they're still alive.
Well, I don't think it's ever happened like this before.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So we win. The cabal loses, and now we start building something that's completely different. I've been watching this comedian Jimmy Dore. He's a supporter of Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders, and he's very much wants universal health care. And I get it, right? When you say it's the right of everyone to have health care, right? But in our system that we have, it doesn't work out that way, that you can do that, right? Because the system, there's never enough, right? It's always behind. There's never an abundance. It's always a scarcity. So in the system, you can't do it without it costing everything, right? You want to say universal food, right? No matter what you want to claim, you should have the right to, right? You should have. But we have an abundant planet. It's just the system doesn't support these things, right? And we can design a system that does support it, where you can create a situation where everybody is fed, everyone has health care, everyone has food, everyone has clothing, and we still have freedom. And it's not basically implemented by the government, right?
Right.
Taking over the control of things. Because anytime the government controls anything, it doesn't work. Right? Yeah, so there's nothing that they do correctly. They struggle to get mediocre.
It's like trying to implement the hive mind. But everyone has their own opinion.
That's perfect.
Like
That's
if your
perfect.
body functioned based on a vote for everything you do, you can imagine how stagnant you'd be. You wouldn't make much progress.
Right, all committee based. Let's form a committee and do nothing.
Right.
Even businesses, they fall into this trap of meetings, and when you fall into this trap, the meetings are important, but you have to have, there has to be a purpose to the meeting, and you have to actually have things that you do after the completion, and it's the steps towards a goal. If that's not the purpose of a meeting, there's no point in the meeting. It shouldn't happen. But people get into these habits of meetings, and this is what happens in government. It's all about the meeting and never about the accomplishing of anything, because there's no goal for them to achieve, right? It's actually set up to where the purpose of the meetings is to have the next meeting.
Well, I actually, I told you this, right? Like one night when I was walking through the city, my friend and I, he picked up, like the Federal Reserve in New York had thrown away all this stuff, and there was like a 60-page binder on how to plan a meeting. It was the agenda for the meeting on how to plan a meeting. For it was like a booklet about 60 pages of a meeting about how to plan the next meeting.
I saw one of those once before, right? And one of my employees had brought in this book, right, about this, right? It wasn't the purpose of our meeting, but they brought it up in the meeting on how to conduct a meeting. And I don't know if it was 60 pages, but it was definitely something like that. And I threw it in right in the trash.
Yep.
Yeah. I said, listen, I'm not even gonna crack. I cracked the page on it, right? I'm gonna just toss it because no one can follow this.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just get it done. Like real change comes from people who just they see it and they say, okay, let me try.
Most
Nothing hard.
Mostly in the meetings where I had regular meetings on one of the businesses I had. It was pretty much essential. It was actually a mail order type business, and there was so much changing along. And we covered the changes from the previous day. We covered the challenges of anything that went wrong, and it was never about placing blame. Only what is the solution? And if something didn't get solved and someone took it up and they made it, they went and not micromanaged, but they would be responsible for whatever the change was going to be. And if it didn't work, it wasn't about placing blame. How do we fix it? And usually things got fixed right away, and it might work forever or it might work for a day. But you have to treat if it was the same problem came back, you just treat it the same way. And that way, you can actually, get people engaged, get people accomplishing goals, and things move forward. If you don't do that, then you have a meeting for about the meetings, then it just doesn't hold up. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I think we're going to be having some meetings soon.
I think so. But you know what? We'll be very goal oriented. I'll be sure.
Yeah.
We'll accomplish something in our meeting. We're not going to waste time.
Yeah.
So, but hey, that's all for today. I think.
I think so.
Good.
In the middle of March Madness and the end of the 6-month period, and the portals of commerce for intergalactic trade are now open, and the debt is wiped away. Apparently, I'm going to check with some people.
Apparently.
I'm going to check with some people and say, hey, check your student loan. How much do you owe?
Well, I've got 3 confirms on that one, and one of them is my own. One is Lisa, so 2 people right off the bat, and I've got several other people.
Well, if they're all in Create Change, that might be a skewed result. So.
No. One of them.
Okay,
a
just
bunch
checking.
of them are not.
Oh, okay, just checking.
But you're right. I'll take it. All right, Dan. You have a great night, everybody. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.